Okay, so today I'm going to talk about ellipse, which is in chapter 10 in your algebra textbook. So an ellipse is basically the set of all points P in a plane such that the sum of the distances from P to two fixed points F1 and F2 is constant. Now let's take a look at the diagram we have here. So here's point P, and here's fixed point 1, and here's fixed point 2. We call those two fixed points foci or focus. One is focus. And the distance from P to F1 is radius 1, and P to F2 is radius 2. And when these two radii add up, we get a constant. So that's basically what an ellipse is, according to the definition. Okay, let's take a look at the anatomy of an ellipse. So here's a picture of an ellipse that I drew for you here. This is the F1 and F2 that I was talking about earlier, or the foci. And the foci will be on the major axis. Here's the major axis. And we'll also have a minor axis, which is the smaller axis. The larger axis is called the major axis, and the smaller axis will be called the minor axis. And over here, we have the center. And here is, the vertices are the place where the ellipse intersects with the major and minor axis. So here is basically an anatomy of an ellipse. And please remember that the foci will always be on the major axis no matter what. Okay? And the foci will always be located within the ellipse. Okay? It cannot go over the ellipse. It is within the ellipse, in the major axis. Next, we are going to talk about the horizontal ellipse, as you see here. Horizontal ellipse is an ellipse that have focal points, two focal points on the x-axis. And the x-axis in this case is the major axis. So we substitute use C for focus. So here is C0 and minus C0. That's the focal points. And over here, the y-axis will be the minor axis because it is the smaller axis. And we have 0, B, 0, minus B. And so B is the distance from 0 to y. Okay? And over here, the major axis, which is the distance from 0 to this point, is represented by A, A0. And here is minus A0. So this is the major axis, and this is the minor axis. So remember that the horizontal ellipse has the major axis on the x-axis. Okay, next one we're going to look at the vertical ellipse. Vertical ellipse is the ellipse that have two focal points on the y-axis. So basically the y-axis here is the major axis, as you see here, because it is the bigger axis, as you can see on the diagram. So the distance from 0 to some point y is A, over here. Use A to represent a major axis, by the way. So A, 0A, 0 minus A, major. You see here, the major one is on the x-axis, so A, so it's going to be A0. But here, the major axis is on the y-axis, so it's going to be 0A. And our minor axis will be on the x-axis, which is represented by B. B will always be represented, we always represent minor axis. So we have B, 0, and minus B, 0. And we have two focal points on the y-axis, 0, C, and 0, minus C. So that's basically our introduction of an ellipse. See you in the next video.